What's up, Mr. Taylor Ho?
Hold on, let me match your swag. Hold on, here we go.
This is
Let
the
me
fastest. This is the fastest we've ever gone from text chat to live. Unscheduled.
unscheduled. This is
Unscheduled.
it's
I'm
only
sitting
possible.
in beautiful rainy Arizona. Dark clouds above me. I'm sitting in my car waiting for my daughter to get in my car, like we
Yeah.
do on Saturdays, Taylor. And
Oh, I
you're
look.
hitting me up on
I was
LinkedIn.
I was sitting in my playroom with my boys. They're playing Minecraft Dungeons. And I was just like, huh, I wonder what Mark is up to. So, I
You couldn't resist. Couldn't resist. I live rent free in your head, bro. So yeah, so I don't have a whole lot of time. My daughter might get in the car any minute, so this might
sure.
be a short live. But yeah. So my hypothesis that I'm really fascinated about is that in one of the reasons we are so fragmented as an industry is because there is tremendous trust building power in each property management brand. And to test this hypothesis, I was speculating with you that I might build another branded property management company in partnership in my same market with a different niche. And you, for some reason, think this is not a great idea.
No, I mean, it's just look at history. If you look at historical, hotels, motels, short-term rental companies, management companies, everyone starts in super fragmented, non-branded Brower properties, Brower hotels, Brower motels, and inevitably when a brand stands out because of its values, its morals, how it does business, whatever, it ends up just making a lot more sense to consolidate the brand, right? And I'm not saying it happens overnight, don't get me wrong, right? But inevitably, the brand will, essentially it's like that. It's why, when you go to a Four Seasons, right? Like there's a specific experience that you expect, right? And regardless of who owns the thing, whatever it is, right? You're going to get that experience because it's managed by Four Seasons. That's inevitably going to happen in
I
our
don't disagree
industry.
with. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so there's lots of evidence to support what you're saying.
Yeah.
Lots, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But why haven't we seen it play out in property management like that?
I just think no one has really figured it out yet, right? People are trying. I mean, you had like the Pures,
How long?
you have the
Okay,
RPMs,
how
the
long?
franchises.
I want to challenge this. How long has property management been around? This
Oh
is,
no, it's
are you
it's it's
arguing that? Are you arguing that like, oh, this is a newer industry, nobody's figured this out? I mean, how
no,
many
no, no,
people
no,
have
no,
tried
no.
to do exactly what
Uh,
you're talking about?
I'm not saying this is a new industry, right? I'm saying inevitably as the industry matures. So if anything, I'm arguing the industry is still very immature. Okay, we're still in our infancy, even though it's been around for forever. Right? Doesn't mean it's a mature market yet.
You're saying the same thing that happens with everything. That there's the mass effects that eventually come to roll up and consolidate and standardize and automate and further leverage the industry. That you're saying that's either slow to coming to property management, or we're still growing up. We haven't hit our stride yet.
That's correct. And look, uh, I've done tons of research into this. I would argue property managers or property management, specifically third party residential, okay, is still hyper local, hyper fragmented, right? Like we've only barely got, like software to help us, let alone, like streamlining operations, getting big enough where like density actually helps a business become more profitable. I mean, most PM companies they're still the like ugly stepchild of a brokerage, right? Like most people or most property management businesses have not figured out how to actually turn a profit on their business, just the PM side, right? They're subsidized because, or they're the subsidized, yeah, they're being subsidized because it's really just a play on keeping me or maintaining relationships for the broker side of the business.
Right.
Yeah. And by the way, I actually think, not think, I've seen very successful companies where it is still that way, but they understand that and they treat the management company as, or the management business as, it's the relationship maintenance side.
Well, then if it's a loss leader, then that just compresses margins and it's going to be very difficult to scale.
Not necessarily. If you can make plenty of money or profit from the broker side, right? They're together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look, and I'm not here nor there on like whether they can stand on their own, right, or whatever. Like I don't know quite yet. I actually still think the management side can stand on its own, but you need density, right? Without density, it's stupidly difficult.
Okay, so I made the argument when we were texting just a moment ago
Mhm.
that Rome is a good example of someone doing this differently. They're acquiring property management businesses
And letting them
and
keep their local brand.
they're keeping the local brand and that's it's uncommon. It's interesting, and I've been curious that why is that not the better model? It almost seems like it's the better model so far, and then you quipped back, yeah, but watch, they're gonna rebrand everything eventually.
Yeah,
Like you,
and it's a phase, right? Usually it's not a complete rebranding. Usually they start with, Broward Properties, a part of Rome, let's say, or like in
powered by Rome.
yeah, powered by Rome or in collaboration with Rome or whatever. Like they all do it like that first, right? And then once they feel confident enough and they see that inflection point where the Rome brand actually means something, that's when you'll see that all of them very quickly thereafter will shift to Rome, Arizona, or Rome, Phoenix, or whatever it may be.
They said we're using their car. All right. Well, I got to wrap this one quickly. So if anybody watches this and you have comments, like I want to hear the hypothesis. What are your ideas about why this industry is so fragmented? Do you agree with Taylor that we're just still babies and we're still growing up and we just haven't figured this out yet? Or do you think there's something inherent in the trust, this very fragile trust with landlords,
Mhm.
that's tied to a brand, to a specific personality, and that's the way of winning in the future, and that's why the people making the most money at scale are providing services to individual property management providers. At this point, nobody's really figured out how to gain more than even a fraction of 1% of national market share.
Yeah.
Any comments on the way out?
And for what it's worth, in our text, we were talking about, well, I started talking about like why a Rome or a larger brand currently would not actually want to push this quite yet. And it's because there's a lot of unknowns still in property management, like, for example, trust compliance. There's a regulatory issue. There's a lot of hidden liabilities with small local operators, right? For example, like when you acquire a local brand, you don't really know what happened 6 years ago, but a fair housing dispute could come up and absolutely crush that brand. And so you don't actually want to turn it into a Rome or a nationwide brand quite yet, because if you do, you're essentially inheriting those liabilities. Okay.
So that's an argument about slow playing the conversion,
Mhm.
but that doesn't answer why no single brand has been able to figure out how to grow at scale in a really massive,
Fair.
rapid way.
And I'll give you another very like similar industry that took a long time, but there's tons of people who are in there, which is like they're the financial advisors, right? There's actually multiple different. I mean, you can look at real estate brokers too, right? There's different models in there, but like there's franchises, right? There's these co-op models, right? There's these network models, right? And then there's just roll-ups in general. So like there's different flavors. I think, where we're at in the industry. Oh, I don't know where Mark went, but where we're at in the industry is like you've got individual local brands, right? You've got franchises. You have some roll-ups that are starting to come around, right? But they haven't necessarily fully branded. But you do have some like Mind, as well as Pure, as well as Evernest, who are all starting to localize or take a national brand. And if anything, I'm just arguing that it's inevitable. The nationwide brand or the big brand or the parent brand is going to take over down the road. Not saying it's right now, but down the road. And there's still a lot of steps that need to be figured out, and ultimately brand risks that need to be figured out before that ends up happening. Bye, Mark. Safe driving.